G'day and welcome to Disc Golf Down Under. It's Matt here, and a few of you have asked for an in the bag video. I was a bit surprised by that. I'm just an average 920 rated amateur masters player, but anyway, you wanted to see it, so let's play the game. But to make it interesting, I've got Mrs. Down Under to randomise the discs in my bag, and I'm going to play this game blindfolded to see how well I know my discs. And to make it a little bit interesting, I'm going to donate $5 to charity for every disc that I get wrong, and you're going to pick the charity. So let's go. So before we get started, the astute among you probably already know that I play exclusively with MVP, Axiom and Streamline discs, and I've also got the MVP Voyager Pro bag. Now, I'm not associated with MVP in any way, I just love what they have to offer. When I first started out about 4 years ago, I started out with the Innova starter kit with an AVR, a Leopard and a Shark, and they wore out pretty quickly in the DX plastic, so moved on to a stack of more discs of various brands, Innova and Dynamic and Latitude 64, and a smattering of other manufacturers. Now, it wasn't until I lost my favourite Star Destroyer and I couldn't get a replacement that I ordered an MVP disc, and I got an Octane. And the first time I went out and threw with it, I threw it 20 metres further than I'd ever thrown the Destroyer. So that was really surprising, and I was instantly in love. So I had to know, was there something special about the MVP and the overmold technology? So next in the bag was an Axiom Envy putter. And undoubtedly one of the best putters out there, and it worked really well for me as well. And it really snowballed from there until about 12 months ago when every disc in my bag was either MVP, Axiom or Streamline. Now, I'm not a huge thrower, pretty average I guess for my age, cranking out drives consistently to about 110 metres or 360 feet on flat ground with no wind. And occasionally, I don't know what I'm doing, but I time one right and I can crank one out another 10 or 20 metres further. I just wish I knew what I was doing and I could do it consistently. So I do have in-depth reviews for some of the discs that I'm going to look at. So look up in the card up above during the video, or check the video description for links to reviews as well. And if you're interested in a review on a particular disc, just let me know in the comments down below. Now, as I said at the beginning, I'm pretty confident that I know the discs in my bag, and I'm willing to wager a $5 donation to a charity for each one that I get wrong. And I'd like you to pick which one or which of those charities you'd like my donation to go to. So just drop a comment down below and pick either Careflight, a helicopter rescue service, the McGrath Foundation for breast cancer research, Beyond Blue for depression, or the Australian Red Cross. So jump down there in the comments and let me know who my donation should go to. So let's grab the blindfold and get it on, and let's get started. Okay, so blindfold is on, can't see anything. Bag has been randomised by Mrs. Down Under. So let's start with the top pocket, which is the putter pocket. I've got 5 putters that I play with, so let's just mix them up a little bit more. And let's start with disc number 1. So it feels like a neutron plastic, and it's not an overmold. Actually, I think it might be a soft neutron plastic. So we're going to say this is the soft neutron proxy from Axiom. The proxy has a flight rating of 3, 3, -1.5, and I bag one in the soft neutron plastic. For me, this disc flies laser straight and holds whatever angle I put on it. Love it for those Anheuser upshots and short tunnel shots. On Infinite Discs, the average review score is 4.76 stars out of 5 from 46 reviews. Moving on. Next disc. Okay, next disc is not an overmold, and it's a very stable putter. So this, actually no, sorry, it is an overmold. And it's a stiffer plastic, so this will be the MVP Ohm. The Ohm is new to my bag with a flight rating of 2501, and I've got one in neutron plastic. It's got tons of glide and enough stability to stop it flipping over when you power it up. I'm actually growing to love this disc, and unsurprisingly it has an average review score of 4.81 from 16 reviews. Moving on, next disc. This is the only Electron disc in my bag, so this is my putting putter. This will be the Axiom Envy. In Electron plastic, the flight rating is 3.3-1.2, and they do start out a little stable, but beat in nicely to become a reliable putting putter. I especially love mine now in the Cosmic Electron, and it has an Infinite Discs average review score of 4.79 from 139 reviews, reflecting the popularity as MVP's most popular disc. Next one is an overmold as well, and it is the softer Neutron plastic. So this will be one of my favorites and a candidate for a dye job. This is the Axiom Envy. This was my second MVP disc, and the Envy in the soft Neutron plastic is much more stable, reflecting the 3.302 flight rating. I depend on this disc for those high-zering up shots and those short drives where you can crank on the disc and it won't turn over. The soft Neutron is more durable and takes the hits that the Electron plastic can't. And the last putter in the bag, which is not an overmold, it's fairly new, and this is the Streamline Stabilizer. The Stabilizer is a very stable putter with a 3.503 flight rating. It has a very dependable fade, which is great for those headwind up shots or when you have to steer around a tree close to the basket. Okay, moving on now to the mid-ranges. So, on the side of the bag, there should be 5 of them. So we've got 5 mid-ranges. Let's just give them a quick mix. And onto the ground there. And let's start with, of course, the most overstable mid-range that I've got. And this will be the MVP Deflector. The Deflector is a slightly longer and more stable version of the Stabilizer with a flight rating of 3.504, and I use it in similar situations to the Stabilizer, but it has a little more range and even more fade. It's a great hyzer approach disc with an average review score of 4.77 from 43 reviews. Moving on to feels like Proton plastic. It's got a little bit of a dome. This one I think it might be the MVP Matrix. The Matrix was my favourite mid-range up until recently. It has a flight rating of 5.4-1.2, and in the Proton plastic has enough stability to prevent it from flipping over on powered upshots. I'd say this disc flies very similar to the ever popular Buzz with a review score of 4.58 from 45 reviews. Next disc. Okay, this is similar to the Matrix, a little bit less stable. This is the Neutron plastic. This is going to be the Axis from MVP. The Axis is very similar to the Matrix, but it has a touch more glide and a little less stability. With a flight rating of 5.5-1.1, this disc is good for powered down straight shots or turning anhyzers. It's also a very beginner-friendly mid-range with an average review score of 4.61 from 59 reviews. Okay, next one. So moving on, Neutron plastic, big dome, nice understable disc. Very similar to the Nova, this one. This will be the Axiom Theory. I used to be a huge fan of the Latitude 64 fuse, and I've found the Theory is as close as it gets with a flight rating of 4.4-1.51. I use this disc for turning anhyzer approaches as I don't have a reliable forehand game. Average review score on the Theory is 4.50 from 30 reviews. And on to the last mid-range in the bag, which is a relatively new disc. It's a Neutron plastic, and haven't quite seasoned this one and broke it in yet, but it's coming in to be a very good disc. This is the MVP Reactor. The Reactor is a new mid-range that is replacing some of MVP's older molds, and with a flight rating of 5.5, -0.5, 1.5, it's a great replacement for the Matrix. I'm still beating mine in, but I expect the Reactor will boot the Matrix out of my bag shortly, and with an average review score of 4.93 from 14 reviews, a lot of other players agree on this one. Okay, so we've finished with the easy ones. Let's move on to some trickier ones now. So let's move on to the Fairway Drivers, and I've got 6 Fairway Drivers. Let's just give them a quick mix, and let's get started. Okay, so to start with, Feels like a Neutron plastic, fairly stable, very flat top. That's got to be the MVP resistor. The Innova Firebird is one of the most popular discs out there, and the resistor is dubbed by many as a baby Firebird, and I completely agree. The flight rating is 6.5, 4, 0, 3.5, and it has loads of stability. Perfect for hard fading shots and strong headwinds. If you love the Firebird, you need a resistor. Okay, next one. Proton plastic. So that means it's one of the Axiom discs, and it feels like one of the stabler ones, so it's got to be the Axiom Clash. The Clash is a stable fairway driver with a flight rating of 6.5, 4, -1, 2, and for me it's about half the stability of the resistor. In the Proton plastic, mine has no turn and is great for left turning drives and something I can trust in strong headwind. Next one. This is a gummy one, so it's a plasma plastic, only one gummy fairway driver in the bag, and that is the Plasma Volt. The Volt was MVP's first driver, released back in 2012, and it has a flight rating of 8, 5, -0.52, and in the plasma plastic the disc is much less stable, and I use this one for laser straight drives. But the Volt is one of my favourites, and it has a review score of 4.56. Okay, so fairly stable fairway driver. So this will be Neutron plastic, and it's fairly brand new because it's replacing one I lost recently. This is the MVP Neutron Volt. In the Neutron plastic, the Volt is much more stable and flies closer to the flight rating of 8.5, -0.52. And this is James Conrad's signature disc, and it's perfectly suited to James's game. You can crank on the Volt and it will fly dead straight and has that reliable fading finish. Go back to Proton plastic again, nice and easy, got to be the Axiom Crave. The Crave is another favourite of mine. It's a straight flyer with a flight rating of 6.5, 5, -1, and it's also great at holding a hyzer or anhyzer angle, but I do have to be careful not to overpower it or it'll turn over, and it definitely doesn't like a headwind. And the last one, crazy, super understable disc, the MVP Signal. I bagged the Signal as a utility disc. It's a crazy understable disc with a flight rating of 6, 5, -3.1, and I use it when I need to go hard right, as my forehand is really unreliable. It's also a hyzer flip machine for those straight penetrating tunnel shots, but you have to get the angle just right. Okay, so let's move on. Final round, onto the distance drivers. And I've got 11 distance drivers in the bag. Trying to eliminate a few. I like to reduce the number of molds for the distance drivers, but 11 at present, trying a few new ones out. And a few utility discs as well. So let's just drop them down there and let's start. Okay, so high-speed disc to begin with. This feels like it's got a bit of a dome to it, actually quite domey. So that's got to be a Proton Octane. The Octane is the disc that started me down the MVP rabbit hole. With a flight rating of 13, 5, -1.2, it's very similar to the Innova Star Destroyer. And my Proton Octane is fairly typical of other Octanes I've thrown in the past. And usually the Proton plastic is slightly more stable than the Neutron plastic. Next one is overmold and sort of a slower speed. Feels like a Neutron Photon. The Photon in Neutron plastic is a very stable distance driver with a rating of 11, 5, -1, 2.5. After beating in, they lose some of this stability and pick up some glide. It moves right to left out of the hand and is dependable for strong headwind drives. Next one. Okay, so this one's had a bit of wear and tear. It's got a few dings. No overmold, which makes it a little bit easier, and it feels like the Neutron plastic, so that'll be a streamlined trace. The Trace has a flight rating similar to the Photon at 11, 5, -1.2, but this disc flies nothing like the Photon. My Neutron Trace is a very straight flyer with a little bit of turn and enough fade to fight back with a straight finish at the end. This is the disc I pull out when I need to go long and straight. Is a lighter than normal disc, and the plastic is a little bit different. This is the fission plastic, and I've only got one fission disc. That will be the MVP Fission Photon. The Photon in the lightweight fission plastic is a completely different beast. The flight rating is 11, 5, negative 1.5, 2.5, but mine is probably less stable than this. This is the disc I turn to when I want long distance. There's no headwind and accuracy is not that important. This thing bombs, but it's very sensitive to the wind. Next, okay, tricky. I'm going to say that is the MVP Tesla in the neutron plastic. I picked up a 165 gram Tesla out of interest, and with a flight rating of 9, 5, negative 1, 2, it's very similar to the Innova Thunderbird. Mine started out as a very stable disc, but it has beaten in and has become much more usable disc with more distance. This one's growing on me and it's getting more and more use. Next cab off the rank. Okay, so this one is very domey as well, neutron plastic. It's got to be an MVP Octane, one of my favourite discs. My current Neutron Octane is a very domey disc and a little more stable than the other Octanes I've thrown. This one gives me crazy distance into the headwind with no turn. Being a Speed 13 disc, it does need power to do its thing, and I do find as I get tired, this disc is less forgiving to a bad throw. Okay, moving right along. Next disc, new one, Proton plastic, no overmold, makes it nice and easy. That's a streamlined trace. My second trace in Proton plastic has a little more stability than the Neutron, and it's got a rating closer to the 11, 5, negative 1, 2 flight rating. I use it for similar situation as the Neutron version, but where there's a bit of a headwind or I need a little more fade at the end of the flight. I do love the fluoro colours in this disc. Next one, okay, very overstable disc, very flat top, makes it nice and easy, about a speed 9, it's going to be an MVP Motion. The Innova Firebird is a disc I love, and since switching to MVP I've been on the hunt. I tried the Axiom Fireball, tried the Streamline Flare, but they didn't do it for me. The MVP Motion though, with a flight rating of 9, 3.504 is really close. Lots of stability with that satisfying flare skip. Couple left to go, okay. Ooh. Yep, brand new disc, neutron plastic, it's got an overmold. This will be the Catalyst. I've only thrown the Catalyst a handful of times since picking it up recently. It's a little less stable and has a smidge more glide than the Octane with a rating of 13, 5.5, negative 2, 2. I'm hoping the Catalyst will give me some nice S-curve flex shots and something that's a little easier to throw at the end of the tournament when I get tired. Okay, how many we got? We got 2 left to go. Okay. Neutron plastic. Nose turned down, so very understable disc. This will be the Axiom Virus. With a flight rating of 9, 5, negative 3.51, the Virus is a understable distance driver. I haven't found mine to be as understable as the numbers, but it does flip over and hold the turn. Definitely not a disc for a headwind. For me, it's an excellent roller disc, and when I want those long gliding turnover drives to the right. And down to the last disc. Feels like a plasma. I'm going to say it's a Axiom Insanity. The Insanity has a flight rating of 9, 5, negative 2, 1.5, and for me is very similar to the Virus, but I find the Virus has a little more glide. At present, the Insanity plays like a shorter version of my Neutron Trace. I expect over time both discs will beat in more, and the Insanity will probably win a permanent spot in my bag, kicking out the Virus. So there you go, and now you know what's in the Disc Golf Down Under bag. And I think I did pretty well. I got 100%, and honestly, I've had a lot of practice on this. We've had a few technical glitches with cameras going out of focus on flashing discs and so on, so yeah, not a big surprise really. But I'm still going to donate $20 to charity of your choice. So let me know in the comments down below who you think is more deserving. Do you think it is Careflight, the helicopter rescue service, the McGrath Foundation, Beyond Blue, or the Australian Red Cross? So get commenting. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.